Love 99.5 and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Swiss FM Ho, Gaskia FM Techiman, Jata FM Karaga, and KTU Radio Kofroidia. Our global audience can download the My Joy Online app from the Play Store and App Store to listen live. Coming up, police on a manhunt for persons said to have engaged in violence in the eastern regional town of Somanya, leaving 3 persons with machete wounds.
It is also our mandate as policemen to give them protection. We are contacting people and we are gathering intelligence. We just want to know what actually the issue was.
We have an update on another person who was said to be in critical condition after being shot. Also, minority in parliament alarmed at Ghana's current debt level, which stands at 341 billion cedis.
My worry and concern is whether as a country we are not on a path to economic crisis with growing public debt, which is nearly at levels that are not sustainable.
Also, minority MPs are taking strong stands on key government interventions, including the reintroduction of the Japan mineral royalties deal ahead of the 2022 budget debate. But government is hoping to convince the minority to back its set of proposals.
Let's press government to use it efficiently and judiciously. And let's hold government accountable for the jobs and for the programs that it says it will create.
And on the ground, demonstration is brewing as the Economic Fighters League prepares to hit the streets, demanding rejection of the 2022 budget statement.
For the 26th of November 2021, there will be a massive demonstration to the Parliament House to tell the parliamentarians to their faces that we, the citizens of Ghana, are instructing them to reject the 2022 budget.
And is it a case of power play?
As Speaker, His Excellency cannot remove me. But I can, through Parliament, get him removed.
Who has the power to remove who in the country? We hear from the Speaker of Parliament. My name is Mamavi Owusu Aboagye. Thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Police in the eastern region town of Somanya are on a manhunt for persons said to have engaged in violence there. They are alleged to have shot 1 person while inflicting machete wounds on 3 others. Residents believe the attack is linked to a chieftaincy dispute, as the victims are said to have attempted to challenge the legitimacy of a chief who was recently installed. The residents have been urging the police to deal with the situation. Sayilo Adamte speaks for the aggrieved residents.
We heard some people were entering the Okwepie late Nene Anati Agos Palace with arms, with clubs, cutlasses, and other things. So the youth were alarmed, and they also rushed out of their homes to find out who exactly these people are. On arrival, the few who arrived were attacked. One of them was shot in the arm. One of them was beaten with hammer, club, and iron rods. The other was also stabbed, and they asked us to exercise restraint. And the principal suspects and people that could be identified, both physically and on video, are available. We presented everything to the police, and they asked us to exercise restraint. So we are waiting to hear from them.
And that's a resident of Somanya, Sayilo Adamte. Meanwhile, the police say they are looking into the matter and they will ensure peace in the area. Here's Superintendent Andrew Anyani of the Somanya District Police.
In all of that, since that 15 up to date, we haven't heard of any fiscal, contacts again between the 2 areas. And now this matter has been reported to the police, and we are just quietly, doing our investigations. We are contacting people whose names have been mentioned in that occasion, the 15th occasion. We are contacting people and we are gathering intelligence, right, taking statements. We just want to know what actually the issue was. So as at now, that is what we are doing. And until today, that the Opepium area brought a letter that they wanted to have a demonstration which would have taken place. That was, I think, last week Monday, or this week Monday. It is also our mandate as policemen to give them protection.
And that's the Somanya District Police Commander Superintendent Andrew Anyani joining us is our Eastern Regional Correspondent Kofi Siam. Kofi, first of all, one person we understand was shot. What is his condition now? Hello, Kofi, if you can hear me, I'm asking for an update on the person who was shot. I'm afraid we do not have our Eastern Regional Correspondent Kofi Sian on the line. When we do get him, we'll bring you the very latest. Now, let's move on to some other stories. The minority in Parliament say they are alarmed at the country's current debt levels, which stands at 341 billion cedis as at the end of September this year. This is equivalent to 77.8% of GDP and confirms concerns by analysts that the country's debt has reached alarming levels. Ahead of the debate of the 2022 budget and economic policy of government this week, the minority leader Haruna Idrisu says the country is heading towards an economic crisis and will therefore oppose the introduction of the electronic transactions levy.
My worry and concern is whether as a country we are not on a path to economic crisis with growing public debt, which is nearly at levels that are not sustainable. Far back in 2016, the amount of money government spent on debt service was about 10.4 billion, rising to 16 billion in 2019 and to 21 billion in 2020, and probably this year around 25 billion, projected to close at 35 billion, with the Minister of Finance announcing a debt to GDP of 77% at 345 billion, whilst it's estimated by other economic aspects such as Moody's and Fitch that were likely to end the year with 81% of budget deficit. We see the Minister of Finance in his effort to redeem the economy seek to introduce some measures, including the now popularly declared e-levy or digital levy. We in the minority may not and will not support government with the introduction of that particular e-levy.
And that's the minority leader of Parliament, Haruna Idrisu. Meanwhile, Joy News is learning government will put before Parliament a revised Ejapa Minerals royalties deal. But ahead of that, the minority leader says his side will block it.
Twin to it is a reintroduction of Ejapa. I would also want to indicate strongly, we have seen what securitization and collateralization have done to the road fund. Contractors remain unpaid, some dying emerging out of blood pressure over long-standing arrears owed by government. We have seen what securitization and collateralization have done to Get Fund. Today, as we speak, out of the 1.4 billion that was received for Get Fund, I'm sure government owes Get Fund not less than 500 million.
And the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, says despite the stance taken by the minority, government will push through the approval of Parliament the set of tax proposals contained in the 2022 budget. He spoke to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba on the sidelines of the ongoing vote affair in Ho.
So we recognize the problems of youth unemployment, the problem of roads, the problem of debt, and we as a nation decide to burden share to break this intractable problem. So it's very exciting seeing the support that he has garnered and seeing some of the entrepreneurs here who are here. And it gives me hope that where we are going with the e-levy is the right way to do that.
It's interesting that you mentioned the e-levy. There are already concerns out there that
there
the
e-levy
amounts to double taxation and inimical to entrepreneurship. That
well, if you look at your 2.2 million youth in 1960 to 10.8 million youth, it cannot be that we do things as we do them always. And I think we all need to stretch our minds as to what we want to curtail. The indignity of not having a job, I think should really manage how the world economy is moving into more of an e-line economy. The old tax handles might not be different. And as you bring these things on, you tweak them with time. But the clarity of understanding that we cannot continue to have this youth problem, we cannot continue to not have our roads built, we cannot continue to not look at our debt. I think it's in front of us. And usually a change, brings these things, but I think the change should be how do we make this efficient and move forward.
You talked about discussions with Parliament. I've been speaking to the minority leader, and he describes it as opportunistic and defeatist, and says that the minority is not going to cooperate when it comes to this particular e-levy.
Biden went through his 1.3 trillion. There were discussions, but in the end, where does Ghana, the Republic, want to go? And so we'll discuss. But as long as we are clear on eliminating this unemployment benefit, I think we'll find a way to cooperate and build a nation and move forward. So it's not an unfamiliar position with opposition, but I'm sure we all have the good sense of one language, the Republic in hand, and we'll get there as one people.
And that's the finance minister speaking to my colleague Maxwell Agbagba in Ho. Well, he has the support of his wife, Professor Angela Oforiatta, the clinical psychologist with the University of Ghana Medical School, however, wants Ghanaians to hold government accountable for the usage of the resources entrusted to them.
I have to pay 1/3 or more of my salary as taxes every month. And I know that there are many people who are not paying taxes. And I know that they would like better roads. They would like, when they go to hospital, to get better care. They would like their NHIA to work so that they can present their cards and get medication. I know that they would like a good Ghana. There's no country that can develop without its citizens contributing. And there are too many people in Ghana not contributing. And this tax, if we all pay a little and we send money, I think when we send money to each other to pay for services, that is tax. Pretty soon we will figure a way not to pay income tax, because that's the way the world is going.
Professor Angela Oforiatta is wife of the finance minister. So can there be a middle ground for both the minority and majority to agree or reject the e-levy? On the line is Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Quartey. Prof, first, is the e-levy the way to go in filling some of our revenue gaps?
Well, we certainly have to fill the gap. I think this revenue shortfall issue has been with us for a very long time. However, whether the rate is the appropriate or optimal rate, I don't think so. I would have expected something between 0.5 to 1% on transfers. I think the 1.75 is on the high side. We are told that there has been a study to ascertain how much people are willing to pay to use the mobile money and other youth platforms. I would be very happy if this information is shared with the general public so that we are all aware, we are all informed about the basis for the 1.75. But I must say that I support any idea to raise money to finance the deficit.
And what can be done to get both sides in Parliament to work together on this?
Well, I believe it's dialogue. I heard the finance minister talk about dialogue, and I think if we continue to dialogue on both sides, and maybe the rate can be reduced from 1.75 to 1%, and then it becomes a win-win situation. At the end of the day, it's Ghana that must win. We should put Ghana first instead of our individual, parochial, or political interests.
And if we carried through what has been proposed, would it affect the entire digital conversation and the agenda that we have as a country?
Oh, certainly. I mean, if you look at the volumes, and if we were to transfer 5,000 cities, for instance, and how much you pay, perhaps you weigh your options, whether writing a check and issuing a check to an individual wouldn't save you some 100 cities or 200 cities. So I think as rational beings, we weigh our options carefully and see which one benefits us. And that is going to affect how much revenue raised from this e-levy. I believe if the rate is moderate, people will pay and more people will use the service, and more revenue will come in. That's my view.
And I thank you for your time, Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research there, Professor Peter Quartey. Let's conclude on the budget and issues in Parliament, and we ask who has the power to remove whom. This is the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Gbagmin.
If Parliament is properly positioned not to allow itself to be bullied into playing second fiddle to the executive, Parliament can remove His Excellency the President. His Excellency cannot do that to Parliament. As Speaker, His Excellency cannot remove me. But I can, through Parliament, get him removed. My brother seated here can be censured. And some of you are trying to do some of those things. I can assure you, I won't do it. You don't have good reason, so stop.
And that's Speaker of Parliament Alban Gbagmin. We still stay with issues of the budget, and pressure group Economic Fighters League has hinted of plans to hit the streets of Accra in protest of the newly proposed taxes in the 2022 budget. The group says the e-levy taxes, among others, read by the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, further burdens the ordinary Ghanaian. They are therefore calling on the parliamentarians to reject the proposals and has asked government to focus on increasing production in the country. Here's National Spokesperson Ni Ayi Opare.
Having analyzed the 2022 budget, we have come to the conclusion that the budget presents no hope for the people of Ghana. Its proposed policies and measures will exacerbate the plight of the ordinary man and increase the hardship on us. We accordingly reject this budget. We reject the Momo tax, or whatever it's called, the e-levy tax. We reject the bank transfer tax. We reject the increase in charges. In short, we reject the attempt to pile up hardship on the people and to deny them the right to the pursuit of happiness, freedom, and justice. We have, together with the further co-conveners of the Fix the Country campaign, scheduled a massive demonstration for the 26th of November 2021, which will be on Friday. It will be a massive demonstration to the Parliament House to tell the parliamentarians to their faces that we, the citizens of Ghana, on whose authority they sit there and take ex gratia, are instructing them to reject the 2022 budget. We call on all Ghanaians, particularly the youth, to show up for the demonstration, as this affects each and every one of us.
And that's National Spokesperson for the Economic Fighters League, Ni Ayi Opare. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Stories gone by. Police on a manhunt for persons said to have engaged in violence in the eastern regional town of Somanya, leaving 3 persons with machete wounds. And still ahead, we talk national science and maths quiz.
The only thing victorious to us is to win this trophy that's Kumasi. Right, we're going to the finals and having this trophy. That's it. We are going to show work in Ekasa. You have a history. And Ekasa, we are going to show work in. That's it. All right.
Ashanti region takes giant steps towards winning the National Science and Maths Quiz competition. We have details shortly.
It's Hollandia yogurt. A nourishing snack. Check. Vitality. Check. Taste. Check. Vitamins, calcium. Check. It's Hollandia yogurt. It's Hollandia yogurt. Hollandia yogurt.
Enjoy a nourishing boost of vitality with Hollandia yogurt. Available in strawberry and plain sweetened, fortified with vitamins A, B2, B12, and a source of calcium. Grab a pack of nourishment and level up. This advert is FDA approved.
Charlie, this festive season, because I dey choose sports action. I dey choose local drama where get plot twist. I dey choose world-class music. I dey choose romantic shows where they be. For kiddies, I dey choose cartoon shows where laughter and quality. Make you choose over 80 channels full of joyful entertainment. Choose DSTV for 169 Ghana cedis per AB standard, the HD decoder, diskette, and 1 month DSTV access package all day long. DSTV, it's your moment.
On November 25th, 2021, leading government officials, sea-level representatives, free zone experts, investment and promotion agencies, and delegates from 50 African countries will meet at the AFCFTA Secretariat in Accra for the 6th Annual African Economic Zone Organization (IZO) meeting. The annual meeting is being organized by IZO and the Ghana Free Zones Authority under the theme Connecting African Special Economic Zones (SEZS) to Global Value Chains (GVCS) in the era of the African Free Trade Area (AFCFTA). The event will be hosted at the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat in a hybrid format, rigorously respecting the health measures and the live virtual retransmission. The meeting will chart a path for maximizing free zone activities within the Africa Free Trade Area. Among those who will speak are Mrs. Angela Paulini Ellard, Deputy Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Lee Yong, Director General of UNIDO, His Excellency Mr. Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the AFCFTA Secretariat, Honorable Alan Kojo Tremartin, Minister for Trade and Industry, His Excellency Ambassador Michael Aaron Okwe Jr., Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the AFDB, and His Excellency Albert Muchanga, Commissioner for Trade and Industry of the African Union Commission, AUC. Institutional partners for the IZO 6th annual meeting include the African Development Bank Group, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, Tangamed Agency, and the Oxford Business Group. Media partner is Joy Business.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. My name is Mamavi Owusu Aboagye. Now, uprooted 3 times already and now stuck between a marauding sea and a lagoon, that is the story of the villagers of Agokaji. The community is one of the worst affected areas in the tidal waves disaster that displaced more than 3,000 people in the Keta area 2 weeks ago. The community of over 500 people is now a ghost town, as many have fled to perch with friends and family elsewhere. My colleague Justice Bedu went to meet some of the last residents of Agokaji, forced by sea erosion to say goodbye to the land of their birth.
This is Yawo Agbemava's last day in the home she has lived for 45 years. In her lifetime, she has seen sea waves sweep through her village many times. But what she saw 2 weeks ago was different.
When I hear the sea waves, my heart beats faster. I become very afraid. I've not seen anything like this before. The sea used to be far away. Now it's with us.
Like Yao, nearly everyone from Agokeji, her village, has left. What remains? Broken water pots, torn apart roofing sheets, and belongings that villagers left behind as they ran for their lives when the sea waves forced their doors open in the dead of the night.
If the sea is rougher, we just wake up and stay and sit down and be waiting for the day to come. Because if you sleep, you don't know that the water will come to the room.
With the climate change, you can see it's really affecting our community.
This is Fuvame. Some of the people who are just moving away from Agokeji now used to live here. After years of sea erosion, everyone has left.
It was a big community, very big community. The people keep on moving backwards. Keep on moving backwards till the time there's no place for them to move, to step back anymore. So final decision was they have to move from this community to resettle at Agokeji.
Yao hopes she can come back to Agokeji one day.
I want to come back one day because this is where I belong. My grandparents lived here.
A sea defense project that could help protect her community has stalled for years. Sea levels are rising by the day. It is uncertain where the next move would be too. Justice Baidu, Joy News, Agokeji.
Still in the Volta region.
They've got an awful lot of coffee in Brazil.
And that's Osibise's 1976 coffee song in the background. The lyrics talks about the abundance of coffee in Brazil, such that there is no tea or tomato juice, but just coffee. You've probably had coffee from Brazil or other world-renowned coffee-producing countries, but what about the one produced in Leklebi in the Volta region? It is one of the many things on display at the Volta Fair underway at the whole sports stadium. Maxwell Agbagba interacted with Afi Aklayiko of Kawa Mocha Coffee from Leklebi.
Kawa is Arabic for coffee, and mocha is a coffee pot in Yemen. So we just put it together to get Kawa Mocha. They are separate.
Great. So tell me, what makes this coffee special? I hear it's from the Volta region.
Yes.
Leklebi to be specific?
Leklebi to be specific. Very, yes. So what makes our coffee special is organic, no fertilizer, and also we work with women farmers, predominantly women farmers, who help us with picking, who give us the produce from their farms. Then we take it, we roast it ourselves, then we package ourselves as well.
I mean, we know of coffee from Brazil and other places. What makes coffee from Leklebi, special? What makes it different?
What makes it different is because it's organic. It's very, 100% organic. There is no fertilizer from anywhere. So when we pick the women, we work with, like I said earlier, we work with women farmers who make sure that the coffee beans are really clean, devoid of any particle.
And that's Afi Aklayiko of Kawa Coffee, Kawa Mocha Coffee, I beg your pardon, from Leklebi. And the Volta Fair is on till this weekend. Make sure to pass through. Now let's talk about National Science and Maths Quiz. The Ashanti region has secured a spot in the grand finale of this year's National Science and Maths Quiz ahead of the semi-final contest due to lack of the draw. After hoisting the Ashanti flag through the quarterfinals, 3 schools from the region will compete for a spot in the semis. This, according to many, keeps alive the goal of hosting and winning the competition, which is being staged for the first time in the Ashanti region. Others say it reduces the prospect of reaching the agenda because only a ticket to the finals ensures the region's participation. Nana Yaujima has spent a week on the KNUST campus following this year's NSMQ and filed this report.
KNUST SHS, Prempeh College, and Opokuwari School all made it to the semi-final stage on the last day of the quarter-final contest and are expected to face each other at this stage.
Forward to the desert.
It is the second time the University Senior High School are semi-finalists. The contestants are seeking to make history by cruising the school to their first final.
Now, no school is small to be taken as the underdog. I'm hopeful that by the end of the semi-finals, we will emerge winners.
Today is an example of what we do to any school who tries to cross us. We are looking forward to the semis.
As far as we are concerned, there is no other school that exists. It's KNUST Senior High School.
Between Prempeh College and Opokuwari School are 6 National Science and Maths Quiz trophies, with Prempeh picking 4 of them. The Amanfoɔ had a smooth ride to the semi-finals after recording a 37-point victory against their close contestants, Sogakope SHS.
Amanfoɔ, seniors. Amanfoɔ, seniors. Amanfoɔ, seniors. Seniors means we are seniors, you get it. So if you've seen seniors competing for a competition and you are not a senior, don't get close. You get a 2-born dog to catch lion.
Prempeh College is naturally meant for excellence. So if you are coming in and you're not coming with your excellence of Prempeh College, that will be a very tough one for you.
A third trophy bid was kept alive after Opokuwari School beat Ghana Senior High School and other SHS to join the All Ashanti Derby in the semi-finals. We pressed to kill has been the mantra since the competition started.
The only thing victorious to us is to win this trophy that's Kumasi. Right, we're going to the finals and having this trophy. That's it. We are going to show we can Ekasa. You have a history. And Ekasa, we are going to show we can. That's it.
All right. The board of Santisburg is not going to fail us. He didn't fail us today, and he's not going to fail us on Tuesday.
The best I catch up for the say. Hit where I hit it. Omujina ye. We press to kill. This year, we press to kill. So stand aside. Stand aside.
All eyes on the gods of Santase. May the best school win. And the first competition tomorrow, 9 a.m., will be between St. Peter's, Chemu, and Presec Legon. The National Science and Maths Quiz is produced by Primetime Limited and sponsored by APSAS. Always the broadcast on Joy News is supported by Cowbell, Papa's Pizza, Tampico, DBS Industries Limited, Kins Group Limited, U-Lesson, Ace Medical Insurance, Dole Yogurt, and Smart Up. And on that note, we end the news at midday. Our top headlines are police on a manhunt for persons said to have engaged in violence in eastern regional town of Somanya, leaving 3 persons with machete wounds, and minority in parliament alarmed at Ghana's current debt level, which stands at 341 billion cedis. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Mamavi Owusu Aboagye. Thanks for your company.